spoke about global warming just a few minutes ago. This is a crisis. Here we have 4% of the world's population. We're putting out 25% of the world's greenhouse gases. We use 22 million barrels of oil a day. We are the worst polluter on the planet. It's that simple. So what are we going to do? Here's what I think we should do. I think we should have a national cap on carbon emissions. I think that cap ought to be brought down every single year. We ought to reduce our carbon emissions by a minimum of 80% by the year 2050. It may need to be more aggressive than that, but that's aggressive at this point, at least 80%. We ought to, below the cap, we ought to auction off and permit the right to emit any carbon dioxide. The proceeds of that auction, $30, $40 billion, that money, or a big chunk of it, should be used to invest in wind, solar, cellulose-based biofuels, all the things that will move us toward clean, renewable sources of energy. We should not build not a single coal-fired power plant in America unless we actually have the capacity to capture the carbon, which we do not today. As the difference I have with some of the other candidates, I am not in favor of building new nuclear plants. I do not think we should build more nuclear plants. I am not in favor of new carbon-based fuels like liquid coal. I think that makes no sense at all. And on top of that, I think we should put $1 billion into making sure that American car companies using union labor build the most fuel-efficient, innovative cars on the planet. I mean, these plug-in hybrids, you all know this, there are extraordinary possibilities out there for us. They are. And then finally, now we come to the tough part. Finally, we need a president who will ask Americans to be patriotic about something other than war, who will say to America, we have to do this together. We cannot spend and innovate our way out of this problem. And here's a word you don't hear from presidential candidates. You're going to have to sacrifice. You're going to have to be willing to sacrifice for this country that you love so much. Because if we want America to be strong, to be independent, then we're going to have to be willing to conserve. Conserve in our homes, conserve in our workplaces. We're going to have to drive more fuel-efficient vehicles. The fuel efficiency standard for vehicles ought to be at least 40 miles to the gallon by the year 2016, and it ought to keep going up. We're going to have to, all of us, take responsibility for this country that we love so much.